We got 2 new drafts yesterday and a new draft just dropped today, ladies and gentlemen. So let's go ahead. Let's hop in. Y'all know we're going to get a lot of sprints, a lot of marathons done. We already did our Greyhound. We're going to get some eliminator drafts done. Weekly winners, Best Ball Mania. There are so many freaking Underdog Fantasy Football drafts that are live right at this moment. We're going to scroll all the way to the end. This is a 5 entry max. So if you want to get your entries in, you're going to have to do it super quick because this bad boy dropped today. Already has 15,000 entrants. It's a $6 buy-in, $100,000 prize pool, $20,000 for first, $10,000 for second, $6,000 for third, $5,000 for fourth. And let's get in here, ladies and gentlemen. And oh dear God, apparently we got to give Underdog our location again because just in case you have not seen this before, Underdog is available in these states. They have to confirm that you are in one of those states to hop in. I'm in Texas, so let me in this draft, Underdog. Thank you. Fine, sir. And oh yes, here we are. Let's freaking go. We're in here at pick 1, ladies and gentlemen. Pick 1, you can make a very strong argument to go with Christian McCaffrey. Most people are going CMC. Historically speaking, over the past few years, you've wanted to be going CMC if you wanted to win money. Christian McCaffrey is the reason we won the $100,000 in the Big Dog tournament 2 years ago. CMC gave us a shot to win some stuff last year. Sadly, did not happen. My fault, not his. But with all that being said, I personally will be going CeeDee Lamb over Christian McCaffrey just because if we are looking at Underdog drafts currently, I want to give us the ability to go with a running back or an elite tight end or an elite quarterback in the middle rounds. And it's very difficult if you get boxed out a receiver, and I've had it happen to me more than once. So we're going to go ahead. We are going to take CeeDee Lamb this fine Saturday night. Let's get him in here. We're going to assume that CMC goes off immediately after. The team after is probably really excited to have that. But King says, why never mix in round 1 Gibbs? I think he'd be RB1. I take Gibbs in a decent amount of these, my friend. But Brian says, ready to dunk on you, and out here flexing with the profile pick. But let's see. We got Benny out here at pick 5. JRV out here at pick 4. And I don't know. Is there anybody else in here? We got Aaron in here at 11. Isaac says he's in at 3 in another draft. I am sorry to see that, my friend. But Eli says expand the Bryce Young portfolio to the 101. If we want a unique build, I doubt there are many teams that have taken Bryce Young at pick 1. But we have CMC, Tyreek, Chase, Jefferson. So super standard draft board, right? The only thing that's maybe a little bit different here is us taking Lamb over CMC. But outside of that, Tyreek goes at ADP, Chase goes at ADP, Jefferson goes at ADP, St. Brown does as well. But just so we do not miss out on this, we forgot to say it yesterday. If you don't know what's going on here, these are Underdog Fantasy drafts. This is what I do every single day on the live stream. Ton of fun. I've done it every single day for years and years and years. They're best ball, so there's no time commitment at all during the year. It's how I'm able to draft so many teams. It's how we won $150,000 on Underdog 2 years ago. And if you want to hop in and drive with us, you can find that link in the description, comment section, live chat. It's everywhere. If you use code FLOCK, you're going to get hooked up with a 50% deposit bonus. Plus, you're going to be getting our 2024 fantasy football rankings. And plus, with code FLOCK, you'll also be getting set up with a special pick'em, something like Luka Doncic, more than less than half a total point, depending on whatever day you sign up. And also, Underdog's available in damn near every state. You can see if it's available in your state on this map, but more likely than not, it is. But Isaac says, Amon-Ra's gone before Jefferson routinely now, and I wonder why. The reason you would see St. Brown go before Jefferson is the offense should be a lot better in Detroit than what you're going to see in Minnesota. But I don't know. I'm going to go Jefferson over St. Brown. We're going to mix in both, though. Jeep Guy says, how was tapering for the Ironman today? I actually did not work out today, my friend. We took the dog on a 3-mile little hike. We went to yoga, but it's because we did I don't know if you were here in the stream last night, my friend, but we did the half Ironman yesterday. We actually did a little more than a half Ironman yesterday. So definitely trying to make sure we do not hurt ourselves. But Let's see if anything weird. This looks to be a very standard draft board. Brown goes before Puka. It's not too rare here. Debo goes at 16. So there was the report. I don't know if we should pay it any attention, but obviously there have been rumors for a while now, contract situation. It makes it understandable why there are rumors. But there are rumors circulating that either Debo or Ayuk will get traded to Pittsburgh. If that happens, the other guy goes up, and whoever gets traded to Pittsburgh gets crushed. If Debo gets sent to Pitt, he is not going round 2. If Ayuk gets sent to Pitt, he is not going round 2. But you can say, okay, well, if the other guy does, then all of a sudden, if Debo gets sent to Pittsburgh, Brandon Ayuk is very appealing and probably jumps ahead of London, probably jumps ahead of Harrison. And then obviously Sticky Ricky all of a sudden is very exciting as well. But Olave goes 18. So the team at 8 decides to go RB at the gate with Brees and Barkley. We'll be interested to follow that as we go. Mountish says Kittle value also rises a bit. For sure, my friend. Maybe we need to be drafting some Kittle with that as a possibility. Because to be honest with you, I have not drafted much Kittle this year. And yeah, if Debo gets sent, then all of a sudden Kittle probably goes from being around 6 pick to around 5 pick. King says, rephrase, why never Gibbs over Bijan Brees? Simply because I'm going to be able to get Gibbs later on, right? I'm going to be able to get Gibbs at pick up 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I mean, if you're looking at maybe trying to create a unique build saying, well, Mason, if you go Gibbs at 7, then all of a sudden you'll have access to a different player pool. The thing is, I could go Gibbs at 12, and then instead of going with like Marvin Harrison Jr., I can just take Chris Olave instead. So you can still have that like unique build on a Gibbs start, but not having to take him at 7 or 8 and go underweight Bijan or Hall. So here we are going to go ahead, take. How far is Kyron going to continue to fall? Because I would almost rather have Kyron. I'm going to go Diggs. Diggs has been falling a considerable amount in these drafts as of late. Diggs has been a faller. Dell's been a riser. I don't know if we've drafted Kyron this year, but I think we will mix Kyron in here. And the reason we don't go Laporta, and I've drafted a lot of Laporta here at the 2-3 turn, primarily early round 3. But anyway, the reason we are going to cool it with the Laporta exposure is later in the drafts, we have been getting a lot of Mark Andrews round 5. So while I do think that Laporta can outscore the wide receivers here in round 3, I also think Andrews can outscore the round 5 receivers. So I think this gives us a little more of a balanced approach. And yeah, that's why we're not going Laporta, my friend. It's just because I'm fine with the value that you're going to get with Kincaid. I'm fine with the value you're going to get with a lot of these guys. Okay. Taylor asking should you draft Laporta? I think Laporta honestly is completely fine with where he's going right now. Like I said, I think Laporta can outscore these wide receivers in early round 3. So I will probably continue to draft round 3 Laporta. It's just I really like getting the tight end at the 4-5 turn as well. And it's difficult to go Laporta there at like 25 and then turn around and also go with Andrews at 49. Okay. Caleb says, do you think there's a reason that Neighbors is continually falling? I mean, if you look at Neighbors, he's just going to be in probably the worst passing offense of any receiver that goes here in round 3. Like, I'd rather have Neighbors over Pittman because the passing volume in Indy should be pretty bad as well. But I think some people don't want to take Neighbors also due to the fact that taking Daniel Jones may not be in their interest. Personally, I actually do like round 18 Daniel Jones, given the rushing upside that he has. So maybe I need to go through and start mixing in a little bit more Malik Neighbors in round 3. But I would rather just go out there and get a wide receiver that we've seen the production from before that also has elite level quarterback play. So I have been finding myself taking a lot of Stephon Diggs in round 3. And I don't know. The more that I see Diggs fall, and he doesn't fall in this draft because we take him at 24, but I've seen Diggs fall to 31, 32, 33 a lot. And we've seen Dell rise to 34, 35, 36 a lot in these drafts. I think that there is a non-0% chance that a month from now, Tank Dell is going over Stephon Diggs in these drafts. Or they're going damn near back-to-back in the middle of round 3, which is what's happening a lot here. So my expectation for me personally, and of course I'm an idiot not telling you to do the same thing, is I think I'm probably going to be overweight Stephon Diggs and underweight Tank Dell. Okay. Now Sean says, would you go 0 RB this season or hero RB? I think it's going to be dependent on the point of the draft that you're in. I think I'll probably have a lot of hero RB builds with Bijan and Brees, specifically because they are going in the range where I think you have a tier drop off at receiver down from like the St. Brown Jefferson range to AJ Brown Puka. So I'd like the Bijan Brees prices that you currently have there in the middle of round 1. And I think I'll also mix in some hero RB builds with Gibbs. But I don't know. I've enjoyed going receiver out the gate this year just because, and similar to years past, I mean, y'all know 2 years ago, we were just drafting nonstop Jacobs in round 6 and 7. I kind of like some of these mid-round running back values. Another big riser that you've seen in drafts as of late has been Pacheco. Pacheco here goes 38. Okay. Nate says, do you think as we get closer to the start of the year, Harrison will shift down to the 2-3 turn? Two things. In your regular home redraft format, Harrison will not be going here. Like if you're in an ESPN draft, I'm almost positive that Harrison will be going much later. So that's one thing there. The second, if we're looking at underdog drafts, I am not going to be taking Harrison at the 1-2 turn. I'm hoping he falls to the 2-3 turn so we can begin to mix him in a little more. Okay, so this is why we did not go Laporta previously. So we could give ourselves the ability to go ahead and take the tight end here. So we're going to go take Trey McBride. Now, taking Trey McBride puts us in a very awkward spot. I think we're going to go McBride and Kirk. This is tough. I have a wide receiver strategy video coming out soon where we dove in deep with the numbers, and essentially a big rule that we want to be following is we need 5 receivers through the first 8 rounds. So I think we could make a play for Stephon Diggs there at pick 4. I'm sorry, for CJ Stroud to pair with Stephon Diggs there at pick 49 instead of Christian Kirk. But my hesitation in doing that is if we go Stroud there at 49 and only have 2 receivers through the first 5 rounds, then we are boxed in. We're going to have to go 3 receivers straight, round 6, 7, and 8. And it won't allow us to take Kyler there at 73 if we want to pair up Kyler and McBride. So I think Stroud would have been an okay pick at 49 if we decided to not take Kyron Williams. And instead, if at the 2-3 turn, we went Stephon Diggs and DJ Moore, then at that point, I think here at the 4-5 turn, I probably would have gone McBride and Stroud, or maybe even like trying to go bully tight end and go McBride and Kincaid. But when we take Kyron at 25, I think it does force our hand where one of our picks there at the 4-5 turn probably has to be a receiver. Serge says, AJ Brown, Puka, Garrett Wilson, Gibbs, full PPR, pick only one. If it is a full PPR format where it's just your regular home league, where it's not best ball, you only start 2 receivers and 1 flex, I would go Gibbs. If it's going to be a league where wide receivers at a larger premium, previously I was ranking Puka Nacua over AJ Brown. And to be completely honest with you, the only reason I am reconsidering that, and the only reason, is we were informed by someone in the comment section that if you look at all sports books right now, they all have the line for AJ Brown, his player prop for season long yardage totals, and then also his touchdown total higher than Puka's. The yardage total is like 200 yards higher than Puka. So maybe full PPR format, you give Puka the slight nod knowing that he'll have the target volume and AJ Brown is more so going to be the big play guy. But specifically in these underdog drafts, I think you're a little more inclined to be going with Brown. Nate says he probably would have gone McLaurin over Kirk. Yeah, I'm fine if you wanted to do that, to be honest. I'm not going to sit here and act like I have a massive preference between any receivers in this range, which is why I honestly really don't like taking Christian Kirk here at pick 49. Is the issue with taking Kirk at 49 is I think Kincaid can outscore Christian Kirk. I think Mark Andrews can outscore Christian Kirk. So if we think the tight end can outscore the receiver, we probably need to put ourselves in a position where we don't have to take that wide receiver. But let me go ahead. I will open this up, and I don't have my phone in the room, so we're going to have to do this on another window. Let me see how many drafts I have Christian Kirk in, because this may be the first draft, to be honest with you. Because as we sit here, I mean, in this range, typically I am wanting to go with the tight ends. Completed. We've done 39 drafts. We did a draft today off the live stream for a video, and y'all should see that. And probably, it's going to be a pretty in-depth video, so it's probably going to take a decent amount of time to edit. Okay, let's move this around. We have the option to go Kyler here at the 6-7 turn if we want to be pairing up McBride and Kyler, which I love the Kyler price. Okay. Okay, finally we got our exposures pulled up. Actually, I have drafted Christian Kirk. That's surprising. I have Kirk in 7.9% of leagues. So pretty much right in line with average. I couldn't remember a single time taking him. That was a little weird. Lad McConkey off the board at 70. JJ Dog on the clock. Let's see what they decide to do. They go Kamara, so we're going to take Brian Thomas, pair him up with Christian Kirk. This is kind of the reason we took Kirk in the last round, so we had that option. And then I think we are going to go ahead. We're going to take Kyler. So you have the option here. If you really wanted to, you could go Evan Ingram and get the full-blown Jacksonville onslaught with Kirk, Thomas, Ingram, and then target Lawrence later on. I would rather go for the Kyler McBride stack, given the Kyler rushing upside. And we can still take Lawrence later on for a 2 QB build. So this is a hero RB build with Kyron at running back. Receiver, we have Lamb, Diggs, Kirk, Brian Thomas. Quarterback, we have Kyler. We have him stacked up with Trey McBride. And we will be looking at Trevor Lawrence later on in this draft. Okay. Garrett says, been seeing a lot of Brian Thomas, Evan Ingram at the 6-7 turn. I'm going to make an entire video about this for flockfantasy.com because one thing is, if you're looking at a lot of these underdog ADPs right now, since every single person and their mom is stacking, which is what you should be doing, I'm not saying they shouldn't, you will see a lot of players go at a specific range of the draft board every single time. So Jaden Reed goes here at the 5-6 turn pretty much every single time. And because Jaden Reed goes to the 5-6 turn every single time, you're going to see Christian Watson go at the 7-8 turn every single time. You're going to see Jordan Love go on this side of the draft board every single time. You're going to see Romeo Doubs later on go on this side of the draft board every single time. And that's just going to continue to cement their ADP in that range. And you see the same thing over here, and we're falling victim of it with the Jacksonville guys, right? Where Christian Kirk, Brian Thomas, Evan Ingram, they are essentially all going here on the earliest side of the draft board because people like pairing up the teammates. They like setting up the stacks later. So there are these certain instances where I don't want to call them fake ADPs, but guys will go higher than where they are projected in comparison to other options in that range, specifically because people are completing a stack or setting up a stack, as we are here with Christian Kirk and Brian Thomas. But yeah, it's something we need to talk about later on and try to identify those players with, is I think it's like a good exercise in realizing like, okay, maybe this guy fits a specific team and that's why he goes here at this ADP, but my team's not that. Like an example would be as we go here to the Curtis Samuel ADP, to be completely honest with you, I don't know if it ever makes sense to take Curtis Samuel here over these running backs or over Tyler Lockett or over a quarterback or over a tight end. The only reason Samuel goes here pretty much is for the Josh Allen build. See the same thing. The Mike Williams ADP is lined up with the Garrett Wilson team. The Romeo Dobbs ADP is lined up with the Jaden Reed team. The Shakir thing, same exact instance. So it is, I don't know if we're just being weird and focusing on it too much this year in comparison to in years past. And it's always been like this, but it feels like this season more than any, you can accurately predict what side of the draft board certain teams are going to go on, specifically because people are going for those stacks. Like you see Cup here goes to the 3-4 turn a ton, specifically for the Puka team. You know, and does that have a ton to do with exactly how Cooper Kupp projects this season? Like, should Cooper Kupp be going here before Josh Allen? Should he be going before Kelsey? Should he be going before Zay Flowers? I don't know. Okay. Brad says, Mason, what do you think about bully quarterback with Allen and Hurts? I think it'll be difficult. I think you can get away with bully quarterback going like, say, Hurts in round 4, then Kyler in round 7. To go QB at the 3-4 turn, it's going to be very tough. I've gone bully quarterback a ton. I mean, 2 years ago, we were taking a ton of bully quarterback in high stakes leagues with Jalen Hurts and Kyler Murray at the 4-5 turn, which it turned out to work just because Jalen Hurts hit in a big time way. Obviously, Kyler busted, but it is what it is. Taylor says, is Tyreek's age a question mark for y'all? I mean, it just depends on what the price is going to be, right? Like Tyreek's age is a big enough deal for me to give the tiebreaker over to CeeDee Lamb in favor of him. Because if we are ignoring age, you can make a strong argument to go Tyreek over Lamb. But also, I'm not going to be overreacting because of Tyreek's age and throwing him behind guys like Jefferson or Amon-Ra. So to be honest with you, I think Tyreek is appropriately priced. Scott, happy to see you, my friend. Hope that you are having a great Saturday. Y'all don't know, Scott is the first person out there for every single video and out here all the time in the live streams. So, I appreciate you, my guy. And yeah, we have not made a moderator in this live chat in years, but I need to make you a mod, my guy. I don't know who else would deserve it more. Bam. If you're a moderator, you don't have to do anything if you don't want to, but minimum gives you the little gear next to your name. Okay, I saw Zach Moss fall in a draft earlier this morning as well. To be honest with you, I think we're probably going to be going Pollard over him. I have no idea what we should do, because if we're looking at these running backs in comparison to receiver, the math tells us that we need the 5th receiver, but I don't know. It's just going to be hard for me to go Lockett over the receivers in this range. So I'd say more likely than not, if you were drafting, you should probably go ahead, pull the trigger on Tyler Lockett here. I'm not going to be mentally tough enough to do it. Instead, I'm just going to take the running backs. But let's move this over. And Quentin says, fellow Spurs fan here, so excited for women to show out next year. Who do you think they should draft with picks 4 and 8? Go Spurs go. Go Spurs go, my friend. I abandoned the Spurs because I'm a fair weather fan. I'm a horrible fan for a couple of years. But now that we have Wemby, I'm back. I'm probably going to be going to games this next year. To be honest with you, I have no idea who they should take at 4-8. I have no take on it. Whatever they do, I'm rooting for them to be good. But I am a complete casual, and I have zero clue of who they should go with. But yeah, thank you for stopping by, my friend. And yes, I'm excited about the Spurs for the first time in a long time. And like literally, I want to get a Wemby jersey. And I've been telling my girlfriend actually worked on a Wemby commercial. Like I don't know if y'all saw the Rookie of the Year commercial, but she worked on that. And I was begging her. I was like, please give me a jersey. Please give me something. Sadly, she could not. Okay, so let's move this over. And yeah, we're going to go Connor here. We're definitely going to go with the Arizona running back. If they're all about in the same range, and like it's not like I have Zach Moss way ahead of James Conner by any means. And obviously we are going in on Arizona here with Kyler, McBride, and now Connor. Kadarius says, first time in a long time. Didn't they have a 15-year dynasty? Yes. I want to say the last time I was rooting for the Spurs hard, and I was a big-time Spurs fan. Let me pull this up. 2017, 2018? I think maybe 2018 was the last year I was really rooting for the Spurs. But yeah, I think I've told you all this before. I am the biggest fair weather fan you could ever imagine. I know people hate people like me. I get it. I'm the worst. But if the team's garbage and there's not a lot of hope for the future, I'm out. I'll come back when we get a player like Wemby. But I'm not going to be watching a garbage team for years and years and years with nothing that's too exciting. Okay. Let's move this over. It will be interesting. Like, I was going to say going with Tajay Spears here. I don't love monopolizing backfields, but if you are looking at the price point that it would cost to go like Tony Pollard round 9, Tajay Spears round 10, and just monopolizing every single touch in the Tennessee backfield, I don't hate it. The what says it's rough rooting for a bad team. And like the thing about rooting for a bad team in the NFL is at least anything can happen. Rooting for a bad team in the NBA, if you know your team's bad, you know you don't have a shot. So it is a very different situation. Okay, so I think we should get Lawrence here. Neither of the teams next to us have Evan Ingram. The reason Lawrence's ADP is here, going back to the discussion we were having earlier in the stream, is because typically this is the side of the board that you have the Evan Ingram team, you have the Christian Kirk team, you have the Brian Thomas team. We have the double stack with Christian Kirk and Brian Thomas. So we're going to go ahead. We are for sure going to take Trevor Lawrence. And then after that, we probably want to be going wide receiver in this range. We're going to go Shakir. Said it before, I don't think Shakir is some phenomenal wide receiver. I think if he was on a different NFL team, a lot of people wouldn't even know his name. But he's attached to Josh Allen. You have touchdown upside in the offense. We need another receiver. He falls 11 picks past ADP. So let's go ahead. Let's bring him home. But yeah, now wide receiver, we have Lamb, Diggs, Kirk, Brian Thomas, Khalil Shakir. Going over to running back, we have Kyron, Pollard, Connor. Tight end, we have McBride. And then quarterback, we have Kyler double stacked with McBride and James Conner, as if the Connor stack matters at all. And then we have the Lawrence double stack with Christian Kirk and Brian Thomas. Nate says, do you think CMC is definitely going to be a top 3 running back, or is he going to finally regress? I have no idea. If you look at Christian McCaffrey, I mean, he is getting to the age where you would assume that you see some regression, but we just haven't seen him slow down at all, right? Like, let's go ahead and let's pull this up. He's been so damn good, hasn't slowed down, but he's going into year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's going into year 8. Obviously, he's built different. He's the best running back in the NFL. He is probably of my lifetime, of when I really, really started playing fantasy football. I probably started playing fantasy football, I think, in 2007, maybe 2006. But back then I started playing, I was like in one home league, right? Not really. I mean, I tracked it like a maniac, but it's not like I was thinking about fantasy football 365 days a year. I started playing Dynasty Fantasy Football in 2014. That's when I became truly, truly obsessed. And yeah, since 2014, I'd say CMC is the best fantasy running back we've ever had for the longevity that he's had, plus the peaks. Last year, he led the NFL in rushing yards. So he had 2,000 yards from scrimmage, the second time he's ever done it. 21 touchdowns, his career high. So CMC has shown zero signs of slowing down. If anything, he has shown signs of getting better. But I am stupid. I see a running back that's going into year 8, and it's hard to find receivers in these underdog drafts. So I'm fine to go ahead. I'm fine to take CMC. Tolliver says LT. So I was saying, I'm looking at 2014 on. Even if you look at LT, I know people are going to hate to hear this. Some of CMC's top seasons really go out there and compete with him. Outside of the 2006 year. But that's when I was just gearing up for home leagues, my friend. I was 8 years old in 2006. But I did have the Madden with LT on the cover. And you do franchise mode, and LT would be like the first pick. And if you got him, you'd be freaking pumped. Which is funny to think about now, because obviously if franchise mode was actually a thing and the NFL went and drafted everybody starting from 0, I don't know if we would get a running back off the board in the first 5-6 rounds. Benny says, what are your thoughts about having 3 team stacks in one draft? I can't help but stack as much as possible, and I like I'm doing in this draft right now. Let me go ahead and check. I'm trying to build that correlation throughout the entire lineup every chance we get, my friend. Remind me, what pick are you at right now? Yeah, remind me what pick you're at. Okay, let's move this over. Gabe Davis making it to us obviously would make a ton of sense for the Lawrence build and just going absolutely all in. Okay, pick 5. We will look at that in just 1 second, my friend. Frymuth off the board, 140. We're definitely only drafting 2 quarterbacks when we go Kyler and Lawrence. So I would be okay taking 3 tight ends here, with taking McBride as our first guy at pick 48. Okay, Leggett goes 142, saving me from myself and not allowing me to get another Carolina Panther. So we're going to go ahead. We will take Gabe Davis. And I guess we bring in another Cowboy. We're going to go Gabe Davis and Dowdle. Obviously, the Davis pick is a no-brainer here. It looks like what this team is hinging on is Trevor Lawrence, for the love of God, be top 3 in the NFL this year in passing yards and passing touchdowns. That happens, we're freaking pumped. Let's go back and check out Benny's team at 5. So the stacks we built around, you have the Waddle Achane pairing. Let's move this down. Pickens, Richardson. To be honest with you, if you give any trust to the report that we may end up getting one of the Niners guys going over to Pittsburgh, personally, I think it'd be a little bit of a tough spot to take Pickens at 44. But Godwin 68, Aaron Jones, Najee, so building around that Pittsburgh offense again, going with the 2-0 for the double stack, going 80. I like it, my friend. Yeah, building around 3-4 key offenses. My only hesitation is when we see people doing that and they're going through and they're dramatically reaching on ADP over and over again. Harrison says, are you not considering playoff correlation at all? I think you want to be considering playoff correlation more in the larger field contests like Best Ball Mania, like a puppy tournament. Here, if you're looking at these smaller field contests like the Hound Dog, it's still obviously large, but a playoff correlation is not going to be something that I'm primarily thinking about in a smaller contest, that is. Taylor asking, what situations will make you go with 3 quarterbacks? So I think it just depends on where you draft your QBs, right? I mean, if we go quarterback round 7 and then QB in round 10, and we're so in on this Jacksonville Jaguars offense, if Lawrence doesn't turn out to be a top 3 QB in the NFL in passing yards, passing touchdowns, this team's probably not getting there when we have Christian Kirk, Brian Thomas, Gabe Davis. So us drafting a 3rd quarterback's not going to accomplish anything. It's if we're trying to chase the top 0.1% of outcomes. Whereas if we decided to wait until maybe around 11, getting our first QB in Justin Herbert, and we went Justin Herbert, then our QB2 is Matthew Stafford round 13, then you can easily justify going out there and taking a 3rd, right? Or maybe if we went Kyler round 7, instead of going Lawrence round 10, if we waited until rounds like 17 and 18 and went Bryce Young, Daniel Jones, and then I think you can consider 3 there as well. HBK says, could you give us a quick playoff correlation breakdown? So what people mean when they're talking about playoff correlation is, say we go through and we are building around the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? So Jacksonville is going to be our main stack, and you're going through and you're trying to think about, okay, so if this team's going to win Best Ball Mania in week 17, we need to be able to go out there and drop a ton of points. And if you think about it as if you're submitting like a DraftKings or a FanDuel lineup, what typically people do is they build around their central stack, and then they'll get what's called a bring back. So you'll look and go, okay, well, Jacksonville is going to be playing Tennessee in that week. So you're going to go through and you're going to be drafting guys like Tony Pollard, drafting guys like Calvin Ridley, which we do have Tony Pollard in this draft. But anyway, you're going to be getting your quote unquote bring back, because what you want is you want that to be a shootout, super high scoring game. And if that's the case and you built around it, it can differentiate yourself from the rest of the field, and you could access a ceiling that's maybe a little bit higher than other people see. So yeah, and that's definitely something that I think is valid if you are looking at large field contest. Last year, I didn't really care about it too much in Best Ball Mania, because Best Ball Mania also had a super large prize pool to the regular season as well. I still don't care about it in smaller field contests to go through and chase playoff correlation and look at weeks 15, 16 bringbacks, week 16, 17 bringbacks. But this year in Best Ball Mania, it will be something that you should consider. I think it's down on the list of totem pole of if you are trying to come up with what's most important, what's least important. But it will be something you hear a lot of people talk about. And I think for this year, good reason based off how the tournaments are structured. Okay, so Deshaun Watson goes 165. And yes, if you have not hit that like button, go down there, drop a like, ladies and gentlemen, and we will fire up another draft after this. The Hound Dog would probably be our next draft, just because I don't know how much longer the tournament's going to be open. Okay, I'm freaking pumped to get Antonio Gibson here. Not going to lie. We're going to get Gibson as our RB5. Probably be done drafting running backs at this point. If we're looking at what else we can do, I think a lot of people would go Michael Wilson here and get the 4th Arizona Cardinal. I don't necessarily feel like we have to do that. We already have 4 Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't want 8 players from 2 offenses on this team. So I think we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Antonio Gibson. You can go with Jaleel with Estime dealing with something with his knee, but I really like Gibson this year. I think at cost, he makes a lot of sense, and that he does have a role from week to week perspective, and obviously upset for more if Stevenson were to go down. And this coaching staff doesn't have, 100% ties to Stevenson. So let's go ahead. Let's get Gibson, Jawan. And I think this still does give us the possibility of taking 3 tight ends if we really want. Okay. Felony, I'm sad to admit it, but yes, I have mixed in some round 18 Rondell Moore. Okay, let's move this over. Dimo says, is it just me or is Brock Purdy going super cheap? I think you make a strong argument for it. I wouldn't say like, oh, he is this in MVP odds, so he needs to be going here in fantasy football drafts. Obviously, it is a little bit different. The reason you would be getting the Purdy value or the discount on Purdy is the fact that if you look at a lot of the other quarterbacks that he's going around, they do historically have a little more rushing upside than Brock Purdy. So like Jaden Daniels is going ahead of Brock Purdy, not because everybody thinks that Jaden Daniels is going to be a better quarterback this season, but because Jaden Daniels may go out there and have 800 rushing yards and 8 rushing touchdowns. Okay. Now Gina goes 177. So we're probably done drafting running back with 5. If we decided to go with the 6th running back, it would force us to only go 2 tight ends. So we can either go 3 tight ends or 6 RBs. No matter what, we're going to have to take 2 more wide receivers. And I think as of right now, I'm probably leaning on going with the 3rd tight end in comparison to the 6th running back. Okay, Conklin, Fant, both off the board. I mean, going through and looking at what Noah Fant did last year and looking at the historical comps, kind of says Noah Fant has no shot to do anything this season. But what gives me the hesitation in just writing Noah Fant off and not drafting Noah Fant is the man gets paid. And obviously he's been used a little more as a blocker in the NFL. But I mean, if you remember him coming out of school, this was someone that wasn't supposed to be used in that way at all. Okay. Demarcus Robinson goes here, 183. Tracy off the board. McCarthy goes as well. That's interesting to see McCarthy go there. Yeah, that's what I thought. Typically, you're not seeing too many Minnesota Vikings on this side of the draft board. And yeah, that J.J. McCarthy pick is to a team with no Jefferson, Addison, or Hawkinson. Balls Live says, I love Noah Fant. I mean, yeah, I can't blame you for loving Noah Fant, my guy. I mean, if you go back to Noah Fant in his sophomore year, he had so much hype. And if y'all remember, Noah Fant is all anybody ever talked about. Nobody ever talked about TJ Hawkinson. Nobody talked about TJ Hawkinson until after their junior seasons. Okay, Roshan goes 186. And if we are going to get another draft going, ladies and gentlemen, please hit the like button so we can do it now. Don't make me sit here and wait all the way until round 18. Okay, let's move this over. Quarterback not in play for us. We're not going to go Levis no matter what. Okay. Genesis says, very, very random. I've never heard that, my friends. Let me look up who that is. I can see it. I've never heard it, but I see where you're getting it from. Okay. Jamie says, Mason, you watching the fights tonight? I would like to, but I'm too cheap for it, my friend. The girlfriend and I are probably going to be watching tires. Jalen Tolbert sneaking up here is interesting. I mean, if we want to continue to go for the Tennessee bring back and pair up Pollard with Boyd, we can. Side of that, I may end up just going DJ Chark. Not a big Javon Baker guy. Actually, instead of Chark, we're going to take Chark a lot. Jalen Tolbert's just so bad. We've never seen Tolbert be good. Chark has been good in the past. Chark had 66 targets last year. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take DJ Chark. Probably should go Tolbert and probably should pair him up with Lamb. But this is what it is. Connor says stream Easton. I'm not going to lie, my friend. I am terrified to get a virus on my computer. I never go to like the illegal streaming stuff. Okay, let's move this down. And have we hit 300 likes on the stream? Can someone inform me? Okay, it looks like we're 7 likes away. Just hit the freaking like button so we can get another draft going. Okay. Okay, let's move this over. The Water Bear says, got a buddy streaming it on Discord. If you want to invite me to that Discord group chat, maybe I'm in with you, my friend. Okay, Jalen Tolbert off the board, 196. And we hit 300. So we're just going to go ahead. We're going to hop right into another draft. We're going to get in the Hound Dog. Not going to waste your time. We are going to be in 1, 2, 3. We are in here. And, I probably need to be opening up that other window so we can make sure we're not missing our last pick. Pick number 2. This is, and maybe more of y'all been using code FLOCK on Underdog, and they've realized, oh, okay, yeah, Mason's doing his job. Stop giving him pick 9. You've punished him enough. Give him some early picks. Let him play around. Let him have some fun. Okay. Kadarius Toney out here with us at pick 5. HBK, pick 7. Let's go. April says, I'm staying away from both Niners receivers. They're going back to back, and we don't know who will be traded. I'm taking some Ricky Pearsall. My thought process with them is I think that you are taking a big-time risk in drafting the Niners receivers, just in case it is true that one of them ends up getting dealt and gets sent over to Pittsburgh. But with that being said, say you go Brandon Ayuk like at pick 19, and then Deebo Samuel gets dealt to Pittsburgh, then Ayuk is someone that is probably by far and away the best wide receiver there in the middle round 2. So I think in taking one of the top Niners receivers, you are taking on a risk, but you are also getting additional upside. So the situation's going to change. So that's, their price is a little murky right now, but I don't know. Marvin Harrison Jr. off the board at pick 4. So yeah, we have someone in here wanted to create a unique little team, taking Harrison at 4. Let's see what happens. Let's see it. I would have loved to be the team at 5. I would have been fine to be the team at 6, team at 7, the team at 8. The team at 9 was probably crying before this started, and now they're going to end up getting Breece Hall. Alex says, increasing blurb. Every quarterback besides Carr, Kyler, and Daniels have an increasing ADP right now. It's honestly, is that true? It seems like Stroud's been falling in these drafts lately, at least from my perspective. I could be wrong. But it seems like Stroud's going a little bit later. Josh Allen's going a little bit later. I don't know. That is interesting. HBK says, big shout out that guy. Pick 7, Jefferson. Love it. Happy for you, my friend. M7 says, I got Breece at 11 today with this tournament. Okay. That's nuts. That is legitimately nuts. Benny says, does Fields have any upside at all? I think Fields has a ton of upside. And y'all know I've been a Justin Fields hater for a very long time. But if we're going to be fair with Justin Fields here, I think the easiest way to paint this picture is saying, okay, well, and this is what I always use. Obviously, Russell Wilson looks like he is the starting job in Pittsburgh. I'm realistic. I'm not some crazy Justin Fields fanboys that I've been fighting for the past 3 years. So I know that Russell Wilson is most likely the starting quarterback for the entire season in Pittsburgh. But if you try to put probabilities to it, say there's a 75% chance that the job is going to be Russ, and there's a 25% chance that Fields gets in and starts for the majority of the year. Whether that's with the Russ injury, whether that's with Russ playing bad, whether that's Fields getting to camp and looking so damn good, the coaching staff goes, he's our guy. If there's a 25% chance that Justin Fields gets in there for the majority of the season, you know, if he does get in there, he is going to impact your fantasy football lineup based off his rushing upside. Or even if Russell Wilson is most likely going to get in there, that 75% chance he does, if Russell Wilson gets in there, he could be nothing. He may not impact your fantasy football team whatsoever. So based off the Fields rushing upside, you have to say that he has upside. Okay, in that other draft, I'm going to take a super gross tight end that is not getting drafted often, but has some touchdown upside. So we'll take him. Okay, so Malik Neighbors goes 21, so that's going to be the all-rookie team here. Nico off the board. I'm not going to be taking a ton of Evans. Let's go ahead and let's mix in Jalen Waddle. Okay. Let's see what the team at 1 decides to do where they take CMC. Because I feel like you go CMC, it's a little bit difficult for you to then follow it up with anything but receiver, at least in my experience. I could be wrong. So you go DJ Moore here, 24. If Evans falls to us at 26, we'd probably take him. Metcalf goes, so we will take Mike Evans here. Not taking a ton of him. I think it's a bad offense, super old receiver, but obviously crushed last year. Touchdown, yards, it doesn't matter what you are looking at. So we're going to go 3 receivers out the gate. I think this gives us a lot of flexibility going forward. And not too many teams are going to get the ability to take Mike Evans at pick 26 either. How dare you, says, will Underdog revoke this draft? Because a team went a little bit weird at 4? No, I don't think so. Ross Kretz says, Mason, my wife says she likes seeing you in the dark. She's used to it, I guess. I'm going to be honest with you. The reason we've been streaming in the dark is because she specifically told me she wanted me to. So, yeah. I'm happy she's informing you of our private conversations. That's going to be something I have to talk to her about. But, yeah, thank you for letting me know. Okay. Now, HN goes 29. Let's see how far Kyron falls in this draft. If Josh Allen off the board at 31. Eden says, not taking a lot of Evans will bite you in the back. His Vegas props would place him at the top of the second round of drafts, and he always goes off when it matters. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this in the past. I agree with you. I think being underweight Mike Evans could very easily go wrong for us. Very easily go wrong. But how far is Kyron going to fall? Did we make a mistake in taking Kyron where we did at 25 in the last draft? Like I've said previously, I haven't drafted a lot of Kyron, but this is a crazier. Kyron goes 35. Kelsey goes before Laporta. That team at 12, if I'm them, I'm taking Laporta, running to the bank, having Gibbs and Laporta on the same team. The team at 11 got Puka and Kyron on the same roster. That team at 12 goes Dell. Oh my gosh, this is a wild draft. Chris says Evan's going to go off week 17 versus the Panthers. I mean, it's happened before, but just because it's happened before doesn't mean it's guaranteed to happen again. Yeah, no, this is one of the crazier drafts that we've had in a while. Laporta does go 37. Yeah, if Laporta didn't go 37, that would have been nuts. Mason, please don't say John's name. I'm trying to get him at 47. Eddie says, yeah, the Kyron run makes sense. I could see him going next to Henry consistently now. Would be good for us since we've taken like no Kyron. So now we can balance them in at a much better price point. And to be honest with you, I probably will start taking Kyron. The issue is if you're looking at running back at the 3-4 turn, personally, I'm going to have a lot of teams with Jonathan Taylor, Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon Barkley, just because I'm not a massive Devontae Adams, a Drake London, Chris Olave guy in this range. Like, I don't think Jonathan Taylor's a great pick here, but I don't think those receivers are either. So I find myself having a considerable amount of teams there in the later half of the draft that have already gone running back. So it may be a little bit of a difficult spot to go Kyron in that range, but obviously it works for the team at 11 where they get Kyron after going Puka London. Okay. I'm going to make our picks at 4 and 5. Then I'm going to run to go pee real quick. Just in case you are new here, don't you worry. I don't wash my hands. We just go as fast as possible. Okay. Etienne off the board at 42. Let's move this over. I think we have a lot of flexibility. That's kind of why we like going receiver out the gate the way that we did. Because now we can pretty much do whatever we want. Like I said, our goal in every single draft is 5 receivers through the first 8 rounds. And I personally really like getting an elite quarterback. I really like the tight end prices this year as well. So with that in mind, typically that means we're stuck having to take receivers in the first 3. Kurt goes 45. Andrew's off the board as well. So specifically because we went 3 receivers out the gate, I do think we had the flexibility to go Josh Jacobs here at pick 47. Mahomes goes 48. So Stroud will not be in play for us, considering we didn't take any of the Houston receivers. So I think you can make an argument for Pacheco or Pickens. I will go Pickens here. I think we are getting an okay discount due to the news that we had with one of the one of the Niners guys possibly going to Pittsburgh. But give me 1 second. I will be back. Okay, we are back. I am sorry about that. And I think you could make a strong argument that we made a mistake in taking Pickens over Pacheco. If we didn't go Jacobs at 47 in a vacuum, I would definitely prefer Pacheco over Pickens. I'm just a little more confident in the running backs we'll have access to at the 6-7 turn in comparison to the wide receivers. So I see people in the chat saying they would have gone Amari over Pickens. I don't think that is the mistake that we made. If we did make a mistake, I think it's Pacheco instead. Tanner says, crazy guy picked 2 tonight, Mason. Hell of a long way from 9. My guy? We got pick 1 in the one before this. We've had pick 2 and pick 1. Okay, Stroud makes it all the way down to 57. Very interesting to see that team at 9 go Stroud with no Houston guys. It's really interesting to see the difference between the two sides of the board right now. Right now, you're seeing the final 4 teams in this draft have a total of 6 receivers through the first 5 rounds. The team at 9 through the first 5 rounds took 1 receiver. The team at 10 through the first 5 rounds took 1 receiver. The team at 11 took 2, and the team at 12 took 2. Whereas if you're looking at the first 4 teams in this draft, The first 4 teams in this draft have a total of 15 receivers in comparison to their 6. So, not saying anything's right or wrong, but we'll be interested to see how this progresses through the rest of this draft. I will say, from the team at 9, their perspective, and the team at 10, I really don't like the quarterback selections from the team at 9 or 10. To go Anthony Richardson there at pick 58 when your only receiver is A.J. Brown, I feel like you're trying too much. And to go with an unstacked Stroud at 57, I'd almost say the same thing. Let's move this over. George Kittle goes 65. I probably need to suck it up and take some more Kittle. This is the Hound Dog, my friend. This is the Hound Dog. Okay. So, Keon Coleman off the board at 66. I don't think, no, that was the Allen team. Okay, that makes sense. I was going to say, I don't think that was the Allen team, but this team went 5 receivers out the gate. They went St. Brown, Ayuk, Diggs, Higgins, Reed. It's another example of a draft where you see Diggs fall. Diggs makes it to pick 30 in this draft. And going back to what we were talking about previously, I think you're going to continue to see Stephon Diggs fall. Kenneth Walker goes at 68. Sucks for us. Y'all know I love getting me some Kenneth Walker. If we're looking at potential stacking options we could have later on, we have the option at Dak. We have the option for Tua. We have the option for Baker. I guess we still have everybody in play. I think we are going to go ahead, take Rome, pick 71. I think Rome at this price point's a lot better than where he was a month ago. And yeah, I mean, what we were really hoping for at 71, of course, was Rachaad White or Kenneth Walker. I'd have been okay with Kamara, but Rome is about plan C here. We'll go Rome and then Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones, his price point in round 7 is a lot better than it was previously as well. We've not taken much Jones, but I think for this build, it makes sense. And to look at this team, another reason we wanted to take Rome was just giving us an option for a quarterback later on in case we missed out on our other options. We can pivot over and go Caleb here if we need to. Looney says, what do you think of most people taking Kincaid and Andrews back-to-back? So many teams are doing that in my drafts. I kind of like it, to be honest. I mean, we've seen for years now people trying to make bully tight end work, and most seasons, I mean, a lot of years it hasn't, but that was when the top tight ends were significantly more expensive than they are now. And I want to reiterate, I take a ton of Andrews. I take a decent amount of Kincaid when they're going at the 4-5 turn, when Andrews going mid round 5, because I think they can outscore the wide receivers in that range. So if you believe that's the case, you can make an argument to go ahead and pull the trigger with them there. So it looks like that team at 4 is going with the full-blown Jacksonville stack as well. They go Kirk at 45, Brian Thomas at 69, Evan Ingram at 76. So yeah, they're going for the Jags onslaught. We did that in the last draft, but instead of having Evan Ingram, we went Gabe Davis. Okay, Jameson off 81. The interesting thing is these teams that only went one receiver through the first 5 rounds, their wide receivers, and this is why it's so dangerous doing that. And you know, y'all have seen me make that mistake God knows how many times. You then get on the board and you're like, oh my gosh, I need a receiver more than anything. And this is what it looks like. And you feel like it's just logging off. So it's a dangerous game to play. That's why I really did not like the CJ Stroud pick at 57 with no Houston guys. And why I really did not like the Anthony Richardson pick at 58. Like, I think you could have made the Anthony Richardson pick at 58 work and go like Hurts in round 4, Richardson in round 5. If you didn't go RB in round 2 and tight end in round 3. Like, if you went 3 receivers out the gate, I think it could give you the flexibility to go with the bully quarterback there, which is a lot tougher in this league. And then the team at pick 11 goes Kyler to pair up with McBride. So it looks like they're going to be going for the Atlanta and Arizona stacks where they have Kyler McBride, and they're going to be going, I'm assuming, Cousins in the later rounds to pair up with London and Pitts. Okay, Connor goes 86 to pair up with the Arizona team. Balls Life says, should Underdog be 2 receivers, 2 flex? The super flex Underdog tournaments do turn the 3rd wide receiver slot into a super flex slot. And a lot of people still draft wide receiver crazy, even though it's only 2 receivers in your starting lineup. Which in super flex drafts, y'all see me in a lot of these Underdog drafts. I don't want to say I'm not completely disregarding the wide receiver position, but definitely discounting it. But with that being said, I've also gotten crushed in the Superflex drafts over the past 2 years now. Like I've had 0 success in Superflex drafts. 2 years ago was because I wasn't drafting Geno at all. And Geno was, the definition of a league winner for where you were getting him for what he gave you. And last year, I have no excuses. I have no idea why it was so bad. Okay, so this is the Chase team. Let's see if they decide to go Burrow. Yeah, they do take Burrow here. Very interesting. I didn't notice that the team that's going super hard into 0 RB was also the team that went Harrison Neighbors out the gate. They go Bowers 93, so they have taken their 4th rookie through the first 8 rounds. Dak goes 94. Frustrating. Obviously, we wanted Dak with this team. We're going to go ahead. We will take Jordan Love. Love will pair up with Jacobs for us. Obviously, not a great stack. We're not sitting here jumping up and down with joy because we got it. But we can still go for Dobbs later on. We can still go for Dontavian Wicks later on. We can still go for Luke Musgrave later on. And worst case scenario, at least we have some correlation in here with Jacobs. Okay. So let's move this over. One World, what did they decide to do? It looks to be a consistent trend. Just waiting until time gets... Yeah, it looks to be a consistent trend that Moss is falling in these drafts, which is good for us because we don't have a lot of Moss, and it's nice to mix him in at a cheaper price. Now in round 9, we'll go ahead and we will take Zach Moss as our RB3. But yeah, I think it's too early to go out there and reach on any of these Green Bay guys. But chat says 10-team Dynasty was offered the 102 and the 108 for the 104 and Puka. Give me the 104 and Puka here. The guy with the 101 will take Harrison because he already has Burrow and Stroud. Yeah, if it's a 10-team league there, my friend, quarterback's just going to be worth less than it would be in a 12-team Superflex draft. But yeah, now at wide receiver, we are sitting with Lamb, Waddle, Evans, Pickens, Rome. Running back, we have Jacobs, Aaron Jones, Zach Moss. Quarterback, we have Love paired up with Jacobs and obviously targeting some of these secondary options a little later on. And then, yeah, Burrow falling to pick 92 is a pretty big deal there. I'm sure the Chase team's excited about that. So it's frustrating to see Dak go at 94, but I'm not going to fault anybody for taking Dak there and saying that they're going to target some Cowboys later on when he's fallen that far. And the fact that, you can just look at the board and know that if you don't take Dak, I will immediately after at 95. Big Sonny says Mason's pulling more viewers than the UFC. I didn't want to say this. I did have to sign an NDA. But Dana White actually called me at about 7 today, begging me not to go live. He's crying over the phone, saying, oh my gosh, you're going to crush us. You're going to ruin us. I've worked so hard for this. You're going to take it all from me. And I went, man, I'm sorry. I got to give the people what they want, okay? And clearly what the people want. They don't want to watch 2 guys beat the crap out of each other. They want to watch some fantasy football drafts, all right? So hung up the phone, And maybe next time he'll learn to get the checkbook out. Okay. Let's move this over. Purdy. I guess we could go Purdy and then go like Sticky Ricky later on if we really wanted to. But Purdy goes 113. Goes to the Kittle team, which makes sense. Singletary 114. I saw Goddard fall a considerable amount in a draft earlier today as well. The draft that we made a video for. Obviously, Chubb continues to fall in every single one of these, and I continue to get suckered into taking him. Tua would be in play for us as well if we wanted to pair him up with Waddle. I don't know how advantageous that would be in comparison to the running backs and receivers. Okay, Spears goes 115. Yeah, it looks like Spears is consistently going ahead of Chubb and Eckler now. And we already have more Chubb and Eckler than Tajee Spears. And I'm sure people will make fun of us for doing this, but I probably will continue to take more Chubb and Eckler over Tajee. We're going to take Dallas Goedert. The reason being is if you look at this draft board, the Tyreek team is not going to be on the clock again until 123, and we are on the clock at 122. So I think we can go Dallas Goedert there at 119 and still essentially guarantee ourselves Tua there at 122. I mean, I'd be very surprised if we saw this team go Tua. Okay. Yeah, they go Joshua Palmer, so we will take Tua. And I am interested to see how far Chubb and Eckler fall. Typically, I don't get to see how far they would fall in a regular draft room because I am the clown that decides to go out there and actually draft them. So let's see. If I don't draft them, how far will these guys truly fall? So they now are falling behind Blake Corum. And I will reiterate, I know you can make fun of me, and you probably deserve to make fun of me for it. But personally, I will be taking Nick Chubb and Austin Eckler over Darnell Mooney, Blake Corum, Joshua Palmer, Chase Brown. Sue me. But yeah. This is. Chubb goes 127. Frank says, I've been in 3 of the first puppy drafts on 8-hour drafts. It's been almost 2 weeks. Yeah, I am going to avoid slow drafts where I can this year, my friend. You'll see me in a zillion fast drafts and maybe 0 slows. Honestly, I think this may be the best way to put it. People are just mad he screwed them last year, destroys his draft position. I 100% agree. There are red flags with Austin Eckler, and yes, there are reasons to go out there and say that he is going to have a bad year. They're not a secret to anybody. No, there's no secret information that Austin Eckler got paid almost nothing to go to Washington. He's running alongside a Russian quarterback. He's competing with Brian Robinson Jr. Everybody knows it. Everybody saw how bad he looked last year. It's not a secret to anybody, but for him to go after Darnell Mooney, Dontavian Wicks, Josh Downs, Brandon Cooks, Blake Corum, does seem like people are trying too hard, thinking too hard. Adam says, I got Eckler at 138 about half an hour ago. Eckler goes 135 in this draft. If Eckler's a round 12 pick, Eckler probably will be one of my most drafted guys this year. If Chubb and Eckler fall to round 12, I'll be okay losing money drafting them. Now, once we go Love and Tua, we're probably not taking a third quarterback. If we decided to go with a third QB, we wouldn't be able to do so until the very end of this draft. So we are going to be looking running back, receiver, tight ends. Right now at running back, we have Jacobs, Aaron Jones, Zach Moss. Wide receiver, we have Lamb, Waddle, Evans, Pickens, Rome. And tight end, we have Dallas Goedert. Henry says, in one of my dynasty leagues last year, some guy lost all his running backs and traded Lamb for Eckler week 4. Oh, that is the worst dynasty trade of all time. I thought you meant like, whenever I first read that, I thought it happened like 3 years ago. But if someone in week 4 last season made that deal, yeah, that is nuts. Okay, so Jalen Wright goes 141. So you're seeing these RBs go. I've noticed Dowdle falling a decent bit. See if Sticky Ricky, Slicky Ricky, Dicky Ricky is in play. This team in front of us is a pretty well-balanced roster. They go Herbert. We're going to take Frymuth. Super easy pick here. Pair Frymuth up with Pickens. We need another tight ends. The running backs, receivers in this range are all about the same, so we'll get them on the way back around at 146. This may be the thing is, if we go Komet here, is it too much to go tight end in rounds 10, 12, and 13? Probably not. Go Komet, pair him up with Rome. Be done at tight ends. We're only drafting 2 quarterbacks regardless. So yeah, we'll go ahead. We will take Komet at 146. Typically, if we're ever drafting 3 tight ends, our third tight end's never drafted this early. It's probably bad. But I don't know. Get decent values on these guys. They fit our roster construction. I mean, Frymuth, like we said, pairs up with Pickens. Komet pairs up with Rome. They both fall past ADP. It's not like the other players at other positions are super inspiring. And I think we can't afford to go with the third tight end to take 2 QBs. Ross Kret says, I've drafted so much Komet. Not I have, Ross Kret has. Komet's interesting because 1, Komet's extremely young. 2, if you look at the market share numbers for Komet throughout his NFL career, he has dominated targets in Chicago. Like, this is someone that's had a considerable amount of work. Is a key part of this offense. But the issue's been Justin Fields, from a passing volume perspective, has been one of the worst quarterbacks that we have seen in the past decade. That's statistically accurate if you are looking at passing volume, which obviously impacts his weapons. All of a sudden you want to say, oh, okay, well, Caleb Williams comes in. He's going to elevate the offense. Cole Kmet, if he has the same market share numbers, but the Bears are an average offense now, Kmet's going to crush, which would be true. But then all of a sudden you go, okay, well, they bring in Keenan Rome, so that DeAndre Swift. So while the offense is finally going to get better, the target share numbers should go down dramatically. So it's like an interesting little yin and yang you got going on. Okay. Let's move this over. Great for us to see as many quarterbacks and tight ends go off the board as possible. And now that I think about it, honestly, it was probably a poor decision for us to go Komet. We probably should have gone Musgrave. But it is what it is. You live and you learn. Okay, so Malachi Corley off the board, 158. Okay. move this over. So we are just running back receiver. I think this is a team that we're probably taking 5 RBs. And then getting up to 8 receivers. Tiger says, is Love unstacked? We can maybe make the argument, oh, Love stacked with Jacobs. Somehow we want to try to sell that, but yeah, I think that was the issue with our Komet selection, is we should have instead taken Musgrave. And obviously, once we go Komet and have our third tight end there, we're not going to be able to take Kraft late. Okay, Algier off the board, 164. Ben Sinnott goes. Roshan off. We're going to go Antonio Gibson here, 167. This is not our first time drafting Antonio Gibson. Not going to sit here and act like we feel phenomenal about it. Bucky Irving goes 168. I think now they're probably done at 5 RBs, and we're going to go Jaleel and get our 5th RB and be done with it, and then take 3 receivers at the very end. Just the receivers we're going to be looking at will be pretty damn gross. This may be our first Odell team. Maybe we mix in Odell for a Tua double stack. But we'll go Jaleel. Estimate. Sounds like he's got some crap going on. And yeah, this is kind of how I want to be building my teams right now, based off both how draft boards look this year, as well as the historical data that we've seen for these underdog drafts. My perception of things at the moment, I like slamming these wide receivers early, getting our 5 receivers through the first 6 rounds, getting our 5 receivers through the first 7 rounds, and then immediately after pivoting and not taking another receiver for quite some time. Going with Love, going with Tua, going with the tight ends, going with the running backs, catching up at all the other positions. What I personally believe at the moment is the wide receivers in those ranges are disgusting, and I don't want to be drafting them. Dope says, Mason, you're wrong about Deontay. He will be fed and finished as the top 15 receivers. Panthers will exceed expectations and flirt with the wild card spot. My friend, thank God I've been drafting a lot of Deontay. I don't know how I'm wrong about him when I've taken a lot of him. Now, yes, if I draft him and then say why he's bad, just trying to be fair, looking at the positives and negatives with every single player. If I go through and draft every single guy and then talk about how he's going to be so good and why he's the best and how the Panthers are going to win a playoff game, does that help anybody? No. It's probably better is to draft Deontay than talk about all the red flags that you potentially have, how the offense does not project out to be good. And if all of a sudden Deontay is good, great problem to have. He's on our team. Okay. Smooth this over. Luke McCaffrey goes 179. I mean, what we are wanting to see at this point is just as many tight ends, as many running backs, as many quarterbacks off the board as possible, right? We want to see wide receivers fall to us, and we need to go 3 receivers to finish this off. Frank, I've made a video from a dynasty perspective looking at the range of outcomes that you've had for Bryce Young with how bad his rookie season is. What I think is very bad that people typically do is go, okay, Bryce Young had a bad rookie season, so let's try to find another quarterback that also had a bad rookie season that turned out to be good, so we can say that Bryce Young is going to do the same thing. What's a lot better is going, okay, this is how bad Bryce Young's rookie season was. Let's look at all the quarterbacks that were drafted inside the top 5 picks of the NFL draft that had a rookie season this bad. And then let's look at the percentage of them that turned it around and were actually good versus the percentage of them that were a flat out bust. So maybe we will make another video diving into Bryce Young. But as it stands right now, it's definitely not going to be here's Bryce Young's rookie season and here's Trevor Lawrence's rookie season. Lawrence will probably be discussed in the video, but he'll probably be one data point among many when we're drawing Young comparisons. And I hope Bryce Young turns out to be very good. Oh, trust me, I'm rooting for it. But historically speaking, for him to have that kind of rookie season, for the Carolina offense to still not have too many weapons, it's not looking great. We're going to go with another Patriot here. We're going to go to Mario Douglas. I'm okay with Douglas. I'm personally drafting him over Javon Baker. I don't love him, but it could be worse. And then we're probably going to go Odell with our next pick. I don't know if we've taken Odell in a single draft this year. Odell, one of my favorite players of all time, way back in the day. Plus, he correlates with Tua. So we can mix him in. Okay, Johnny goes 192. Khalif Raymond off the board. So let's go ahead. Let's take Odell. And we're going to take one more receiver at the end of this draft. Don't necessarily know who it is yet, but we'll be going with another. So yeah, looking at this team, running back, we have Josh Jacobs, Aaron Jones, Zach Moss, Antonio Gibson, and Jaleel. Receiver, we have Lamb, Waddle, Evans, Pickens, Rome, Demario Douglas, Odell Beckham Jr. Take another receiver. Tight end, we have Goddard, Freiermuth, Komet. Quarterback, we have Love, Tua. If you're looking for teammate pairings, if we're going to try to draw any little bit of correlation we can, try to make it sound like we did an okay job. We have the Miami double stack with Tua, Waddle, and Odell. We have Jacobs paired up with Love, whiffed on the other Green Bay stacks later on. We have Pickens paired up with Freiermuth. We have Rome paired up with Komet. And we have Gibson paired up with Demario Douglas, as if that matters at all. But I think that should be it, ladies and gentlemen, for this draft. Again, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Really hope you enjoyed it. And we're going to be drafting every single night. So if you want to get in, you know where you can find the link. It's in the description, in the comment section, in the live chat. Code FLOCK, get you hooked up with a 50% deposit bonus, plus our 2024 rankings, plus a special pick'em, something like Luka Doncic, more or less than half a total point, depending on the day that you sign up. And Underdog's available in damn near every state as well. So make sure you take advantage. But thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. Really do appreciate you. And really hope we get to see you in the live stream tomorrow night.